Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to stand and speak at the second reading of the Accounting Infrastructure Reform Bill. And just following on from the previous speaker, I'm glad that he's finally got it, what this is all about. And he was quite a sort of feisty contributor to the Commerce Committee before he was demoted and went to Finance and Expenditure.
He's just got the national comms notes.
Sir, yes, this bill achieves many things. One of the things which it does is create, I guess, a ability for New Zealand and Australian institutes to work together in a common organisation. In fact, I went just the other night to the brand launch, and no doubt they'll be thrilled to see that the second reading is happening this week. On their website, just to give a little bit of a look at where this is all heading, they say in the same way that there are many different types of doctors and lawyers, the same is true for accountants. It's not just people who count things, it's people who can investigate, analyse, recommend. They become the sort of people who help our companies and our investors make some pretty solid decisions. And so, you know, some people think that accountancy is boring, but in fact it's not. It's very dynamic, and it enables people to make some great... I see one of my colleagues here is probably not in full agreement to that, but, you know, it's very much part and parcel of a very strong economy going forward. One of the things that the previous speaker mentioned about was the cost of compliance, and he will remember, if he was on the committee at that point in time, about the Finance Reporting Act, that particularly around charities, we determined that there were different levels of reporting needed, because if a charity had an income less than $140,000, a sort of like a full-blown audit is too high a percentage of their costs. And so instead of having an accrual-based accounting system, looking at it as a cash flow-based system, and likewise in this bill, when charities are brought into the audit realm, for a charity that has expenditure under $500,000, then they would have a review as opposed to an audit, and then they would have to have a $500,000 expenditure for 2 years in a row to qualify to go up. So I think, when I say the members understanding it, he does understand that what we're trying to do is, where there are higher levels of risk to contributors, to investors, to donors, etc., there is a higher level of compliance required. So that's what's happening. Sir, it's been an interesting process as we have gone through the committee stage, and as the Minister mentioned, there were a few additions and amendments to what we did, but by and large they were quite small. I think this is quite an exciting, if I can say that around accountancy, step forward for our accountant firms out there and our financial advisors, and they are all very keen for this process to go through in a very timely way. Just as I wrap up in my next minute, sir, the main purpose of this bill is to allow the accounting and audit industry to be more efficient and effective. And that seems to be a call right across every sector of our economy, that people are more efficient and more effective, because we know that drives down costs to consumers. And we know that, sir, that's a great thing to happen. The principal amendments proposed in this bill would to amend the rules as to who may perform statutory audits, to replace references to chartered accountant in legislation with qualified statutory accountant or qualified auditor, and to allow audit firms to incorporate, and to introduce a requirement for the independent assurance of the financial statements of large and medium-sized charities, and allow the New Zealand Institute of Chartered Accountants, NZICA, to enter into an arrangement with its Australian counterpart, ICIIA, to form an effective Trans-Tasman Institute of, as they say, around 100,000 members. So I'm very pleased to commend this bill to the House.
I call Andrew Williams.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I'm pleased to take a call on behalf of New Zealand First for the second reading of the Accounting Infrastructure Reform Bill. New Zealand